We are a little under 24 hours away from potentially all hell breaking loose with the legal tampering window set to open tomorrow. We are going to discuss if the Miami Dolphins will make a last-ditch effort to sign Christian WIlkins or Robert Hunt. Also, Terron Armstead is reworking his deal with the Miami Dolphins. Does that mean a restructure? What's going on? We'll talk about that. Also, did an ESPN report this morning that seems to have gone under a lot of people's radar hint that the Miami Dolphins are still exploring a trade for Kansas City Chiefs defensive back La'Jarius Sneed. We will talk about that and so much more. Do me the favor as you come through, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going to open a touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We are back here for another one. We got a ton to talk about today, from some re-signings to where we're at right now with the tampering window about to be upon us, as well as, Terron Armstead's new deal. And does this La'Jarius Sneed thing continue to have legs, man? We got a lot to talk about. But before we do, all right, before we get into all of that stuff, I want to get into a few things. All right. Number one. All right. Let's talk about this. Mac Jones, as we like to call him on this channel, as we have for years, Whack Jones. All right. First of all, shout out tonight. He just gifted an Phinside The NFL membership, and Robert Thomason, he became a member off that. But Mac Jones, or as we like to call him, Macaroni Noodle Arm Jones on this channel, or as we just flat out call him, Whack Jones. All right. A sixth rounder. Are you serious? All right. What is going on with a sixth rounder? That's it. And I never bought into the hype of him coming out of college. Everyone who's watched this channel knows I didn't like him coming out of college. They also know I didn't buy into the hype whatsoever regarding his rookie year. I felt it just things, people wanted to try and say Tua was coddled, and you watch the Mac tape and you're like, no, this is what coddled is. This is what coddled is. And now a sixth rounder to the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's where he has been traded to. This guy is going to be in a competition with Trevor Lawrence. And he's going to be backing up Trevor Lawrence. There's no way they start him over Trevor Lawrence. Let's be honest with ourselves. Whew. That is just absolutely brutal. Absolutely, man. You got Knight says, hey, Jags got questions with Trevor. Fair statement, is it not? Because if we traded for Mac Jones for a sixth rounder, everyone would be in here saying, oh, he's going to take Tua's job. Oh, he's going to take Tua's job. Now what? That is absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious to me. Is Zach Wilson worth a 7th? Bro, Zach Wilson might not even be worth an NFL Plus subscription if you only got a 6th rounder for Mac Jones. I don't even know if I'd give you an NFL Plus subscription for a year. Real talk. I'm not even joking. So, I don't think there is a competition, right? In Jacksonville. I think that's Mac's job. Mac's job is going to be the backup. They've got a lot invested into Trevor Lawrence. So I don't, in terms of pick and everything like that. So, and then, yeah, so, it is what it is, right? I'm not really, I take Mac Jones over re-signing our punter. Yeah, Mac Jones might be as good of a punter as Jake Bailey. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go ham on that. Don't you worry. We're going to talk about that. So, listen, fair question though, Knight. Hey, I want to see where's the is Trevor Lawrence looking over his shoulder? We'll give it till tonight. We'll reach out tomorrow morning on X. Monday morning we'll say, "Hey, we gave it all a Sunday. Where's the Discord that Tua got?" Right? Where's if this was Tua, and Tua's got a better winning percentage than Trevor Lawrence. Tua's looked better at the pro level than Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has looked mid. Listen, you can go back to the Tuesday night panel when me and EM and Ball Game and Finsanity and all these people were on that. Okay, you can go back to that. And me and EM sat up here in 2020 when people were saying, don't even draft. People were saying, don't even draft Burrow. Just wait till next year for Trevor Lawrence. And I kept telling people, do not fall for the fool's gold. Anyone who's watched me since day one of me entering this realm knows I never bought into the Trevor Lawrence hype. I just didn't. He regressed every single year at Clemson because they weren't focusing on developing in him and building him as a quarterback, right? They were focused on just go out there and win. The issue you run into programs with Clemson and Alabama and stuff, they don't have time for development. They don't have time to invest in development, right? They got to win. They got to win right out the gate. So they got to put the best athletes or the best capable at every position out there and let it roll. You don't have time to sit here and develop a quarterback if you're Clemson or Alabama. You got to go out there and they got to play off their God-given talent, and you got to go from there. Right? Like, let me ask you this, guys. All right? Let me field this for all of you who discuss, and I agree with all of you, right? Tua, I had 2 and 6 in big games this year. We've seen Tua in clutch moments. Can he do it? Yes. Does he do it often enough? No. Does he do it consistently enough? No. That's the frustrating part with Tua, is we know he can do it. We've seen him do it. We've seen him in clutch moments come up big, whether it was at Alabama or whether it was in Miami. The problem is he doesn't do it enough. But to all of these people who believe in that, including me, think about this for a second. Can we blame some of that part of his development? Because, listen, in fourth quarters and clutch moments, that's reps. You got to have the experience. You got to have the opportunity to be clutch, to come up. How many fourth quarters was he pulled out in Alabama? Right? It's not like he went to a 20th ranked or 15th ranked Kentucky and they're always in the game and always fighting for it till the last minute. These guys were pulling him in he's getting either pulled after half or he's getting pulled heading into the fourth. And if you do remember over the first 2 years, if you go back, because we used to bring the analytics up here, over the first 2 years in the NFL, Tua Tagovailoa was one of the better third down and fourth quarter quarterbacks in terms of completion percentage, success rate, et cetera, et cetera. Over the last 2 years, it's kind of dipped a little bit. But I digress. Some of that development was lost at Alabama. Some of that development was hindered by going to a powerhouse program. How many, other than that LSU game, right? How many games was Tua in that season before he got hurt down to the last minute? And let's be real, he should have won that LSU game. Even with that, what was it, the fumble or the intercept? It was a fumble, right? In the first quarter. Should have won it. Judy dropped a walk-in touchdown to the end zone. Was wide open, and Judy dropped it. Speaking of Judy, he got traded for peanuts. And I know Dolphin fans wanted to trade for him, et cetera, et cetera. You're not taking on that bill. I believe his cap hit this year is like $12 million or something like that. And then you got to re-up him. The Dolphins aren't taking on that bill for third receiver. That's why that was never going to happen for Jared Judy. But anyways, I digress once more, right? So you go back to the LSU game. Judy makes that catch. Tua brings them back and they win. And Judy was wide open, by the way. If you go back and watch that game, Tua was absolutely light out in the second. I always talk about that game. If you watch me and you watch his channel, whenever I bring up that game, I always say this. The LSU-Alabama game encompasses what Tua is as a quarterback and how to use him. Reason, what do you mean by that? Okay, first half, what did they do? Totally leaned on him, right? Didn't really run the ball with Najee. It was just Tua. And LSU got out ahead. Second half, leaned on the run game more and then let Tua play off of the run game. And what happened? Derek Stingley was the best corner in football that year, and Tua started lighting him up in the second half. Lighting him up for that bomb to Devontae Smith for a touchdown. Just lit up Derek Stingley. This is what he is at the NFL level. Now, I can say he can carry himself a little more if you want to lean on him fully, i.e. the Chargers game. We didn't have a run game or a defense, and Tua out-dueled Justin Herbert. So, but again, he doesn't do it consistently enough. But, it encompasses. Tua is, because he's such a timing and rhythmic quarterback and all about efficiency, a run game is only going to elevate that so much more because it'll make people respect the box a lot more and it'll give them a lot more options. So, and speaking of Tua in Alabama, Bradley Bozeman, a guy who I've talked about on this channel multiple times. I talked about in the offseason last year, and I believe I talked about him at the trade deadline next year, but I know I talked about him in the offseason, and I talked about adding him to this team. Well, now he's a free agent, and he might be a cheap free agent. Looks like Mitch Morse, the Buffalo center, he's having a little bit of a healthy market. But, I know they're interested in Andre James. I had Lloyd Cushenberry on my list as well as a guy who would make sense here at a low cost, potentially high ceiling reward. Man, if you're looking for a holdover, Bradley Bozeman might be an option for this team too. Real talk. Real talk. So, man, but hey, it's Sunday. It's football day. I appreciate all you for coming through. Please do me the favor. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. Exactly, Jay Rose. A balanced offense. When you have a pocket quarterback, you want to balance the offense as much, right? When you have a guy who's mobile and can get outside the pocket and run around, you're not as worried about as balance of an offense because that guy's ability can throw the defense off balance. But when you have a pocket quarterback, a run game is so essential, right? Why did Marino never win one? Only ever had 3 top 10 defenses in his career and only ever had 1 top 10 rushing attack. And then you look at our rushing attack and you'd be like, oh, if you were just to look at if you came down from the planet Mars right now and I just showed you the stats from last year's rush and I explained to you football and you understood football within an hour, and then I showed you our run game stats from last year, just face value, like how many yards we average per game, our ranking, etc. You would think we had one of the best run games in the NFL. Then if you actually watch the tape, you will see Mostert didn't have a 100-yard game after Isaiah Wynn went down. After Connor then went down, that run game was just not the same. Achane looked explosive, but the holes to burst through weren't there as often and as consistent anymore, etc., etc. You noticed things in the run game. Now, we still managed to keep a high number, but let's be honest. Were we that same run team in the final 8 weeks that we were in the first 9? No, we weren't. And, Derrick Henry, he's, it's been announced the Titans are going to move on from him. I remember the flack me and Neil caught when we were so down for the Jonathan Taylor move. We've been bringing up Derrick Henry for a couple months now on this channel. What was our big issue when we wanted Jonathan Taylor? Why were me and Neil so about it? Mostert gets hurt every year. Jeff Wilson gets hurt every year. What happened with Mostert in the December and January months? We were in the same position we were last year. Got to have a guy you can count on to run the football, because running the football becomes even more paramount in the playoffs. I keep telling this the last 2 years, I keep saying this, because now that we're becoming a playoff team, if you listen to me the last 2 years, what do I keep saying? Right? The holes get even smaller. The defenses get even tighter. It's harder to score points even further when you get into the playoffs. You need a run game, man. You need a run game. And obviously this year, a noticeable thing too was with the final 4 teams, offensive line and tight end was a noticeable thing too for those teams that were there. And, I've been stressing tight end all year. Here we are. Hey, I'll take Jonnu. It's better than what we had, right? It's better than what we had. And I want to say this too. I want to get this out there for everyone to understand. Everyone who's expecting a big splash or whatever, here's my stance on it. I do not see them spending on one player what Hunt or Wilkins are going to cost. They are not going to risk those comp picks, I don't think. Here's what I think. If they are going to make a big splash, and this is why it makes sense of what we're going to talk about in a bit, if they are going to make a big splash, it's going to be via trade. Why? Because you can get an impact player and you cannot affect your comp picks. That's why I think he said 21 was, Greer hinted that 21 is potentially at play. Now, I don't want to trade 21, but I'm just saying, if we're going to get a big high impact player, I have a gut feeling it's going to come via trade, just because they're not going to risk those comp picks. Right? Like, okay, let's say Hunt gets $16 million. If you go out and sign Patrick Queen, and Patrick Queen wants 18 million, you're going to offset that comp pick. Like, I don't think they're going to sign Patrick Queen. I've come up here and said you can front load it and then start the money hitting when David Long goes, but I don't know if they're going to go after Patrick Queen. I think Seattle makes sense, but because of Mike McDonald there, but I don't know if they're going, because he's going to risk a comp pick. If you could get, I don't know if Frankie Louvu will be 11, but the PFF and Spot Track are projecting him at 11 million. If you could get Frankie Louvu for 11 million and it ends up being $5 or $6 million less than what, you don't risk your comp pick. I'm pretty sure you don't risk your comp pick that way. So I don't see them spending big money on individual players that'll risk those comp picks. I really don't. I think that's why I think trade is how they add an impact player. That's what I honestly think. So, I could be wrong. This is just a theory. There's nothing behind this. There's no backing. This is just as I've thought on this. I do not, if you look at his history, Greer doesn't like to risk comp picks. So then you say, okay, they want to add players, though. How can they? Via trade. So we'll see how it plays out. But I am not expecting us to, I'm not expecting us to spend big money on a defensive tackle. I'm not expecting us to spend big money on, I already said earlier, they're not going to spend big money on a wide receiver. I don't think they're going to spend big money on a corner, right? I think they're going to, Javon Holland hinted at it. He said 29 times 8 yesterday. I think they'll bring Brandon Jones back because it's going to be cheap. I don't think they're going to spend big money on a linebacker to replace Jerome Baker. I just don't. I don't think, because they're not going to want to affect those comp picks. Now, I could be wrong, and they could say, screw it, we're all in. But I don't think they will. And linebacker becomes, all of a sudden, a very intriguing option in the draft. My first big board will be coming this week. So, I've got 9 big boards done. Like, that's how ready I am to drop big boards, because I don't know what direction they're going, so I got out ahead of the game. Usually, remember, I only drop 5 big boards a year. I've got 9 big boards ordered and ready to go, basically. Just got to do some final touches and finish chopping up some film. But I've basically got 9 big boards set in stone already, ready to roll. Because I think there's a good chance, I think 21 and 55 are going to be offensive line and defensive line picks. Or front 7 picks, let's say. I think edge, defensive tackle, linebacker are all in play. And I think offensive line is all in play. And I will preface that and say, they will not draft a true interior player at 21. They will draft a guy who can play tackle and kick back out. And they will kick him into guard, and then they'll kick him up to tackle when Armstead left. That's what I'm talking. Like a tackle that can play guard as well. A guy who can play tackle and interior. I think that would be a play. Like a Troy Fautanu, right? Et cetera, at 21. That would make sense. So, I don't necessarily agree with it, but apparently they're fans of Graham Barton. And Graham Barton can play tackle, or he can play. Personally, you want to know who I think is? I think Greer's in love with the I've said this before on this channel. I'll say it again. I think Chris Greer's in love with the Demarius Mims. You look at the tape. You look at how he tested. If that guy don't scream Chris Greer, I don't know what screams Chris Greer to you. I really don't. When you watch Demarius Mims, it screams Chris Greer to me. Real talk. So, that's just, again, that's my personal opinion. That's just my personal opinion. But when you look at evaluations and his history, like when I look at the Austin Jackson evaluation and how they took him, then I can see that, Demarius Mims makes sense. So we'll see how it plays out. But let's get into this. We got a lot to go over here. So let's start off with Christian WIlkins and Robert Hunt, because we are nearing the tampering window opening. And let's get into this, because are they going to make a last-ditch effort to sign to sign Hunt or WIlkins, all right? And this is from Barry Jackson here with the Miami Herald. If the Dolphins are going to be able to keep top free agent Christian WIlkins or Robert Hunt, a dramatic turn of events must happen in the coming days. A source said Friday that Hunt's return to the Dolphins isn't looking very good unless the Dolphins suddenly come up with enough cap space and financial resources to compete with offers expected to exceed $15 million. I told all y'all what I've been reporting. Have I not been reporting for months? 15 plus million is the number I was hearing. There you go. Now it's in black and white from Barry Jackson. Once again, Barry Jackson confirms what Reason's been telling all y'all that he's been hearing. The Dolphins and Hunt have preserved a very good relationship through the negotiating process, but Miami, which is well over the cap, doesn't appear in a position to compete at the high end with other teams in a guard market that's exploding unless the front office suddenly changes its approach. The Rams re-signed Kevin Dotson to a 3-year, $48 million contract this week, and Hunt has been every bit as good or better. Dotson allowed 4 sacks and 20 pressures and 520 pass blocking snaps last season. Hunt conversely yielded just 1 sack and 5 pressures and 329 pass blocking chances last season. Hunt played at an elite level when he wasn't sidelined 7 games by hamstring injuries. PFF rated Hunt 6th of 81 guards last season, including 8th as a run blocker. The Dolphins drafted Hunt 39th overall in 2020, and while he never made a Pro Bowl, he was on the cusp. For 30 years, the Dolphins have struggled drafting offensive linemen after the first round, and Hunt was perhaps their best second-day offensive line draft pick this century. Meanwhile, Adam Schefter reported that Christian WIlkins will very likely sign elsewhere. Schefter said the bidding for WIlkins will reach 24 or 25 million per year. Again, what have I been telling y'all since last season? He wanted 24 plus million a year. That's literally what I've been saying since last season. Both these numbers confirmed that one I've been telling you since last offseason, and the other one I've been telling you for the last couple months. Confirmed. Right there for you. The Dolphins are still attempting to keep him, and communication remains open according to someone briefed on the situation. But the sides haven't been able to strike a deal in 9 months of on and off talks, and WIlkins' market has only increased over that time. According to a source, the Dolphins last year offered WIlkins a deal that was in the top 10 in average salary for defensive tackles. Based on salaries for 2023 defensive tackles, such a deal would have been for no less than $17 million annually. I heard it was around $20 million. But WIlkins is seeking far more than that. Losing WIlkins would hurt the Dolphins' run defense that was top 5 in the league in yards allowed per carry and diminish the team's pass rush after WIlkins produced a career-high 9 sacks last year. But while Hunt and WIlkins seem to have one foot out the door, keep this in mind, Chris Grier at times in the past has dramatically raised offers to his own free agents in the last minute, just as he did in signing Emmanuel Ogbah to a 4-year, $64 million contract in March 2022. So while it doesn't look promising with Hunt and WIlkins, there's always a chance that Grier could significantly boost an offer to either free agents before the doors swing open on Monday. There's a history of that with Ogbah, though the Dolphins had far more cap space when they re-signed Ogbah. To make a competitive offer for WIlkins or Hunt, Miami would need to clear out more than $50 million in cap space in the next coming. Not only to be cap compliant by Wednesday's deadline, but to have enough room to address other options. The Dolphins' easiest path to creating considerable cap space is by restructuring or extending contracts of Ramsey, Chubb, and Hill. Extending Tua could drop $10 million off his $23.1 million cap hit, but these contract talks are expected to stretch into the spring or summer, ESPN has reported. Among Miami's other free agent offensive linemen beyond Hunt, the Dolphins have said they would like to retain left guard Isaiah Wynn, who played well before a quadricep injury ended his season in Week 7. Agent Drew Rosenhaus previously indicated that center Connor Williams will approach free agency methodically in the wake of his ACL injury. Kendall Lamb remains a possibility to return. Raekwon Davis made clear in January that he would love to return and has little interest in exploring free agency. The extent of the Dolphins' interest will become clear in the days ahead. At other positions, the Dolphins are said to have interest in keeping several free agents, including Van Ginkel, Braxton Berrios, and another run with Salvon Ahmed. And, that's a good point. He ain't lying. He is not lying. He upped his offer last time with Emmanuel Ogbah. I think the problem you're going to run into with that is it's going to be one or the other, and they haven't cleared enough cap. So, and I'm going to be honest with you. Christian WIlkins, I think it's over and done with. I mean, you look at what Aaron Wilson said here. Look what Aaron Wilson said, okay? Because there's a couple other tidbits here. Look what Aaron Wilson said, all right? Confirming literally 2 teams we've talked about, me and Neil have talked about, we've heard. Extremely rich market expected for Dolphins free agent Christian WIlkins. Among the multiple teams expected to have strong and mutual interest in WIlkins, who has 20.5 career sacks, including career high 9 last year, are the Texans and Vikings per league sources. And then when you look at what's going on with what ESPN said today in one of the articles, and we're going to talk about this article a few times, look at what they said. Star DT set for big money. After Chris Jones just landed a big deal on Saturday night, Miami's Christian WIlkins is likely to be a hot name, with contending teams such as the Texans and Lions looking to upgrade at that position. Other defensive tackles people around the league believe that could land nice deals. I had Grover Stewart on my list because he was only projected to be $11 million. Obviously, they're projecting to be much more. But they're including Grover Stewart, Leonard Williams, and DJ Reader. Now, DJ Reader was projected to make like $16 million. That's why he wasn't on my list. Jones's 5-year and the 4-year $98 million deal the Ravens gave Matabuki on Friday night are only going to help the defensive tackles at the top of the market get paid. Fowler then says Wilkins' market is heating up after Miami opted against a franchise tag. Expect at least 7 teams to pursue him. The Brian Flores connection in Minnesota is one to watch, but Houston and Cleveland could take swings too. And the Seahawks are expected to ramp up their efforts to re-sign Williams, who played well coming off last year's trade. Getting something done before Monday would be optimal. And this guy's about to get paid. This guy is about to get paid. I'm telling you. I mean, we all saw the deal yesterday. You know, like when that Chris Jones deal came down, when that Chris Jones deal came through, it was over. Like, whoever didn't think it was over. I mean, 5-year deal, $95 million of it guaranteed. And apparently it's $32 million a year. It's 5 years, $160 million, and $95 million is guaranteed over the first 3 years for Chris Jones. When that came through, it was over. $32 million? This guy has a larger annual hit than Tyreek Hill. Chris Jones has a higher annual average salary than Tyreek Hill. That's crazy. That is stupid money. And if you didn't know, I know I had him on my free agent target list. Andre James, the pending free agent who I know the Dolphins were interested at center, he has re-signed with the Las Vegas Raiders within the last 2 minutes. It's crazy right now. I mean, you look at the Chargers. The Chargers are having exploratory trade talks on Bozeman and Khalil Mack and Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. Harbaugh's blowing that up. Is Herbert even going to be there in 2 years? And I'm telling you, Harbaugh wants to draft J.J. McCarthy. If he could, he would. That is crazy right now. It's getting blown up. And, I mean, you're about to pay. He's going to hit that new deal, not this year, but next year. You're rebuilding that whole thing. So, they're really going to have Herbert's new contract kick in when they're rebuilding over there? That's crazy. That is nuts. That is, like, just ridiculous money. Holy. Shout out to Knight. He donates and he says, why trade assets for him is what has me wondering. Like all the backup options and you trade for QB. Trevor couldn't hit wide open wide receiver players. I mean, it's only a sixth. You know? It's only a sixth. But, you know, how many times does a sixth rounder work out in the NFL, right? Justin says, when are the restructures going to start coming? Well, it should be coming soon. It should be coming soon. And we'll talk about one that should be coming down the pipeline very shortly. Now, let's get into this because for some reason, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this. And this goes back to what I said in the opening. Heading back to that Fowler and Graziano update. Remember, I did a video a couple days ago about La'Jarius Sneed. And it was Fowler and Graziano reporting on it. Well, they're doubling down. What's going on with Miami? The Dolphins, who sit $21 million over the cap via roster management system, have essentially let WIlkins walk and now have 26 free agents about to hit the open market, many of whom will be tough to keep. Some league execs are looking at Miami through a Tagovailoa lens. The Dolphins appear dedicated to extending him this offseason, which will be costly. So the cost analysis could simply be let WIlkins and Hunt walk and work to backfill those spots. They have gone all in with splash trades, and now the bill has come due. Chris Greer is always good for a sizable move or two. What about pairing Jalen Ramsey with a corner like La'Jarius Sneed? I believe Miami has at least looked into it. Fowler's doubling down. He's literally doubling down on this. This is like not the first time we've heard this. Remember, on March 4th is when he said it the first time. He brought up that us as amongst one team that was interested in La'Jarius Sneed. Now 6 days later, they're doubling down. Sorry, it was March 3rd. I apologize. March 3rd was when they doubled down. Jeremy Fowler reported that on March 3rd that the Lions and Dolphins are two teams to keep an eye on if the Chiefs decide to trade La'Jarius Sneed. Now he's doubling down on it and saying that we've at least had talks over it. Saying, I believe Miami has at least looked into it. And this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show. That's how Greer is going to add a high-impact talent through a trade, because it won't affect his comp picks. Now, I would not give up the 21st pick for La'Jarius Sneed. Why? You got to pay the guy. You want to give up 55? Knock yourself out. But I'm not giving up 21. Hell, I'd try and keep 55. If I'm getting 2 third-round comp picks, okay, I'll deal two 20-25 thirds. Let's start there, because I'll have 2 comp picks to replace them anyways. But Jeremy Fowler is sitting here basically doubling down on La'Jarius Sneed. Now, once again, I've been told this team is comfortable with Ramsey, Kohu, and, of course, Cam Smith. But, when you look at the fact that Ramsey's age, right? Jalen Ramsey ain't a young pup anymore. That's for sure. Is this the Ramsey replacement? Because, you got to wonder, is this the Ramsey replacement? Because after 2025, we have an out in 2025. We have an out next year. After this season. Right? You can save some money, man. You save if you pre-release or pre-June 1st release or trade them, you save a $15.9 million. If you post-release or post-June 1st trade him, you save about $19.5 million. So is La'Jarius Sneed the, hey, we'll bring him into the fold this year. Next year we move off Ramsey, we save that $20 million, and La'Jarius is the dude? I don't know. But it's very interesting that they're involved in La'Jarius Sneed. And holy jeez. Baker Mayfield is closing in on a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Tampa Bay Bucks. It has a ceiling of $115 million, and it's $50 million of that guaranteed over 3 years. So taking a little over $33 million a year. And yeah, Tua is going to get paid more than that. But good for Baker, man. Congratulations to Baker. He worked hard for that money. Put up with a lot of nonsense. So, this La'Jarius Sneed thing, there's clear... listen, Jeremy Fowler doubling down twice in 6 days about it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But obviously he's hearing some legs. Remember, he reported on it coming out of the combine, and now he's reporting on it again. And that excerpt I just showed you was from this morning. So that is like this morning. That is not yesterday or Friday or whatever. If I see an ESPN guy doubling down on his own report, it does make me wonder. I'm not going to lie. Now, all of you wondering when's the money coming? What are we doing here? The word on the street is Terron Armstead is expected to return for the 2024 season, and he and the team are working to finalize an adjusted contract, sources say. It's not yet done yet, but the hope is it should be finalized soon. Would be a huge lift for Miami. Guys, there's some key words here. Raise your hand if you don't see the word restructured. Raise your hand in the chat. I don't think this is a restructured. Adjusted is the key word. This sounds like they're going to add on voidable years and spread out his money. That's what this sounds like. That they are about to spread out that money. So they're going to be creating cap space. We're waiting for these numbers to come out. But I can tell you right now, right? Armstead was set to have a cap hit of about $20.8 million. Right? That was going to be the fifth largest on the team. Now, all right, here's the deal. He's only got $5 million currently guaranteed. And $8.25 million of his $13.25 million base salary is set to become guaranteed on March 16th. So it's going to be interesting to see how the numbers work out here. But the key word here is adjusted. It's not restructured. Shout out to Daddy Dean. What's going on, bro? Haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're good. The key word here is adjusted for me. So they're about to create some cap space. We're going to learn when those numbers come through. We don't know what those numbers quite are yet. Obviously, we'll have them here for you when it does break. But, yeah, very, very interesting to read the wording there. All right? Very, very interesting to read the wording there. It's adjusted. It's not restructured. Adjusted is what you got to key in on. So, I don't know what that's going to mean. But obviously, they're looking at, I think they're going to add voidable years. That's what I think they're going to do. And they're going to spread the money out. That's just what, hey, we're going to find out. Our answer will be probably very soon. I imagine they're going to try and get it done before tampering. But I don't know whether they're going to... Something's happening to the compensation. Something's happening to the compensation. That's what that tells us. So we will keep an eye on that. But Armstead playing ball, looking to restructure. That's a good thing. Now, let's get into some of the re-signings because I got some bones to pick right now. Let's start off with number one, okay? Jake Bailey, 2 years, $4.2 million deal is re-signed. $1.1 million signing bonus. Salary is $1.125 million guaranteed. Can get $4,000 up to $4,000 for the Pro Bowl or an All-Pro incentive. net punt average and club improvement annual. Why? What are we saying here? What is the deal? Like, who is okaying this? Did you give him this money because he was a good holder for Sanders? Are we paying a holder that money? Is that what we're doing here? Are we giving this kind of money to a fucking holder? Pardon my language. I'm sorry, I gotta curse on that one. It's already bad enough you kept Danny Crossman. Now you're keeping arguably the worst punter while you let the Chiefs go out and get Matt Araiza, the punt god. What is going on here? Are we destined to be in purgatory with special teams? It makes no sense. First of all, we were all baffled when you kept Danny Crossman. Now you decide to keep one of the worst punters in the NFL. And I know it's because you guys aren't liking Sanders' improvement this year, so you think this guy's a good holder. Unbelievable. Oh my God. That is a F minus resign. What's the word? That's not even an F. That's a Z. That's a Z minus. That's what you want to grade for that signing? I'll give you a Z minus. That's how bad that is. I'm sorry. You cannot justify this any which way to me. You just can't. I don't care about a holder. Give me a break. That is absolutely awful. The guy is not even arguably, he's the worst in the NFL. See? That's the difference between teams that want to be contenders and teams that want to be champions. The Chiefs win a championship and go and get Matt Araiza. We want to contend for a championship. We re-sign Jake Bailey, please. How many times did we see this guy? 20, 30, 40-yard punts. It's pathetic. But let's re-sign him. Okay. Senior Relojas, a.k.a. the Watchmister, says, reason, hope all is well. Celebrated my birthday last night with the family. Let's just say I thought of our fins when I blew out the candles. Cheers, man. Shout out to Senior Relojas, a.k.a. the Watchmister. Everyone, he's one of the biggest supporters of this channel. Give him a happy birthday in the chat right now. Man, I hope you have an amazing year. I hope you had an amazing Saturday celebrating with your family and your friends. I hope the cake was delicious. By the way, put in the chat what kind of cake it was. I'm a chocolate mousse type of guy, so when they make those mousse cakes, you know I'm at over heels. But I hope, hey, man, I hope the presents were good. I hope the day was good, but I hope most of all this year is the blessed and the best one yet in terms of your best trip around the sun. So, appreciate you. Happy birthday, my friend. And thank you for bringing some positivity after I was about to go down a deep, dark hole with Jake Bailey. The Dolphins, they re-signed one of the players on my top 30 free agent target list. Nick Needham, who was on my list because he's over a year removed from that injury. I think he'll get back to normal. Who's shown he can play safety when tasked, who can play the boundary when tasked. And people seem to forget that a couple years ago, he was one of the best slot nickelbacks in the NFL. This is a great re-signing. Low cost, high ceiling. You gotta fill out bodies. And we've seen what Nick Needham can do when he's fully healthy and in the slot. Y'all want to push Cater to be better? A healthy Nick Needham can push Cater Kohu to be better. And when we go into nickel and dime packages, Nick Needham is a guy you can use. Coach AJ, I agree with what you said. That cake is fantastic as well. So, shout out to Nick Needham. Shout out to Shannon Needham for continuing. You know, it's good to have her around on Dolphins Twitter. Shout out to Rhino. Says, happy birthday, Senor Rolojas. Go Fins. Yeah, yo, bro. I'm telling you. Coach AJ, don't get me started, huh? Don't get me started, brother. No. Re-signing your own free agents does not affect your comp picks, Jason. Great question. No, it does not affect at all. Yeah, bro. I mean, the Chiefs won again. Holy jeez. So great question by Jason here. No, re-signing your own free agents does not affect your comp picks. Great question, bro. You just got to think about this, okay? Like, you don't want to spend as much money on UFAs from other teams individually that other teams are gonna spend on your individual UFAs that set the market. So what I mean by that is, like, if a team spends $25 million on Wilkins, you don't want to spend $25 million on a player. If Hunt gets $17 million on the open market, you don't want to spend $17 million on a player in the open market, because then you'll lose the Hunt comp pick. Look at it. That's kind of an easy way to look at it. That's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's kind of an easy way to look at it. So, shout out to Nick Needham, man. He was on my list. I'm happy he's re-signed. Now let's go get Frankie Lavu for $11 million, baby. Let's go get Frankie Lavu for $11 million, please. Let's go. I'm here for it. That's another guy. Could they make a trade for a guy like Shaq Thompson instead? You know? I don't know. But I think trade is the way you're going to get that impact player. That's what I think is going to happen. You're going to get that impact player via trade. Man, I'm Andre James. I know I said it earlier, but people are tagging me now that my boy Andre James just got signed by the Raiders. Yeah, they were high on him. All right, continuing on here, because he ain't the only one. Shout out to Nick, though. We're back. We're glad you're back. Need him. Get healthy and get back. Another one. We needed a safety. He's an RFA. So Elijah Campbell, RFA, he's been re-signed. We needed safety help. We needed bodies back there, and he's back. He is back. So Elijah Campbell, we have brought back Elijah Campbell, another body at safety. Good stuff. All right, so little deals. Nothing earth-shattering that's moving the needle. No deals that we got to climb out of a bigger hole, right? So Elijah Campbell is back. He is returned. Now, guys, The Athletic, they had an article come out on Friday. All right. It was by Jacob Robinson and Diana Rossini. And this is what Diana said. And she ended up being right about the Chargers. So this is from Friday. All right. Now let me read this excerpt to you. What Diane is hearing. The Bills sent a message this week, as did the Broncos with Simmons' release. Others may follow suit. Multiple teams clear space before the start of the new league year. She said, and I quote, I'm hearing the Chargers and the Dolphins are teams that could be making cuts to their rosters and reworking deals on big-name players. Los Angeles currently rosters 4 players who rank among the top 15 cap hits in the league. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Mike Williams, and Keenan Allen. And what have we learned? There are reports out as much as today. Albert Breer reported that they have had exploratory trade talks on all 4 of those players. So Albert Breer basically confirmed today what Diana Rossini reported 2 days ago, and the Dolphins are mentioned in there. Now, Terron Armstead, that's a first big name. She's talking about reworking deals. She said reworking, not restructuring. Reworking deals. Boom, there you go. So Diana Rossini is saying things should be coming for us. Now I get it. We want this all to be done by the tampering window. Here, I don't know. This could be coming in a flurry. Tomorrow could be a busy day. And obviously it's March break for my kids, so why wouldn't it be? So tomorrow it could be a pretty busy day. You know, I'll be live and I'll keep you guys informed and up to date. Don't worry about it. I got you. All right. So, man, a lot going on right now. Now finally here, this is the last little portion I wanna do here, because I don't know if I was intending to cover it, but I want to cover it. Over 450 of you in the room. Please do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. We are just over 300 away from 15,000, so let's get there. Let's cross there before the draft, okay? So let's go over this for a second, all right? I don't know if you guys saw this, but a report out of Kansas City. Check this out. Many Chief fans who suffered frostbite at bitter cold playoff game need amputations. The medical director at the Grossman Burn Center at the Research Medical Center says 70% of the patients referred for frostbite injuries suffered during the bitter cold in January are now being advised to schedule amputations. Majority of them are Chiefs fans who attended the team's frigid playoff game against the Dolphins, is what they're talking about. Wow. Burn survivors gathered at Research Medical Center for a second annual reunion Tuesday evening. Jack Daly came to the Grossman Burn Center in July when he recalls the heat index was 110. Anyways, down here. But the burn center is now dealing with injuries from far different weather conditions. People think of burns, they think of fire, they think of hot thermal temper injuries, but burns can happen from many different causes. Garcia told Fox in January she had already seen dozens of frostbite patients. Many of those Chief fans who attended the playoff game against the Miami Dolphins, where it was -4 degrees with a wind chill of -27 degrees in kickoff. It was the fourth coldest game in NFL history and the coldest in Chiefs franchise history. HCA Midwest shared images of a hand of one fan who took his gloves off for just 5 minutes in order to put up a tent in the parking lot. And the patients who had their frostbite injuries along with the Chiefs game, they're just getting to the point now where you're starting to discuss their amputations might be necessary. Listen, people thought we were complaining because it's a Miami team having to go up in the cold weather, when really we were just up here saying this is not safe. These guys are nuts. This should be rescheduled. This should not be going down. Now you have fans that are literally getting amputated or scheduling amputations potentially because of that game. The NFL is one of, if not the biggest sports conglomerate in the world. I mean, I'm sure FIFA and UEFA can compete, but at least in North America, but one of the biggest in the world. They generate all this money, right? They do the fan of the year. Now they're starting international fan of the year. But do they really care about the fans if they're letting them go out into those kind of frigid temperatures? Let alone the players. That's not safe for the players. You got fans scheduling amputations. They are lucky nothing happened to any of those players. This is absolutely ridiculous. And honestly, I'd be suing if I got amputated, I'd be suing the hell out of them. They shouldn't even have allowed that to happen. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts that's what's going on. Brutal. Anyways, man. Guys, we're about to get crazy over the next 72 hours, I think. We're about to get crazy over the next 72 hours. Could a La'Jarius Sneed trade be coming? Because remember, trades like that won't happen until the new year probably starts. So, man, the next 72 hours, 48 hours are going to be something else, and we'll have you locked in right here on Phinside The NFL. Do me the favor, guys. Over 470 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. I appreciate all of you coming through on this Sunday afternoon as we get ready for the craziness as the tampering window opens tomorrow on March 11th, and then free agency, it officially opens on March 13th. And I'm interested to hear the numbers we're going to be hearing for WIlkins and such, you know. And I know people have their hearts set on us bringing back Van Ginkel. I don't know what to tell you. I'd be worried about. I wouldn't be holding my breath. The only way Andy Van Ginkel comes back are two things. One, if his asking price comes down, or two, the market is not as robustly around his asking price like he expects it to be. If the market isn't as hot for him as he expects and his asking price comes down, he'll be back. But they are not going to pay a third rotational edge player like $10+ million. I don't see it happening. Anyways, guys, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And you know I'll see you on the next one. And as always, fins up all day, every day. Till Margaritaville, they send that cease and desist our way, baby.